all it talked about was how a pentagram, Yad He, Shin Vad He, you remember that, how we threw that little shin thing in there. Actually, a couple of cards ago. All it deals with is how to do that in your own space. You got the manifest finger of God, and we just throw that shin in there. Is the ability to surrender to another concept. I mean, that's all it deals with. It uses a lot of Hebraic, Aramaic, and gets into a little bit of astrology and crap. But basically what it's talking about, how an individual may surrender their little teeny self to the bigger self. It spans quite a bit of time on how to identify the bigger self, but it's mostly trying to convince you that the arms and the legs are the bigger self. It's mostly telling you that the bigger self, that God consciousness, is you. Any part that hasn't been influenced by anybody else is God. I mean, that's basically what it deals with. So it's the concept of are you willing to continue existing based on the self that you have built in respect to the opines of others, or are you strong enough to be yourself? I mean, that's basically what it deals with. I mean, we can deal with the Hebrew, we can deal with the Kabbalah, we can deal with the Japanese, we can go Greek, we can go Old Testament, and basically what it does right here, while we're right in the middle, right at that balance point, numerically, in the DAG, are you insistent on being something that is being subjugated to the whims and phobias and whatnot of society? Or are you self? See, that's self. Do you have the fortitude to express self as a person, not as an intellect, but as a person? Are you willing to exercise all your chakras in this space without opine, without an opinion? Are you willing to trust yourself? See, that's really what it boils down to. I mean, you can turn around and go like, yeah, I can do that. And tomorrow morning somebody goes, I'll give you 10 grand if you do this. I mean, do you actually have to sit down and decide whether or not you need the 10 grand? Or can you just go, gotta be me? See, that's what he's dealing with. He's dealing with that principle, not between the societal concept of right and wrong, or even the theological concept between right and wrong. He's dealing with that concept of, Hitler Gandhi. He's dealing with that concept of self. Somewhere on this seesaw of life, you are the fulcrum. Somewhere, you remember we've kind of covered that seesaw a bunch of times. at some point on that seesaw, you are the fulcrum. See, the active and passive happens in relationship to self. I mean, we're not supposed to judge, but that's something you have to judge. I mean, where am I? What do I do? How do I do it? What type of functional relationship happens in regards to the rest of the universe to myself? And where do I want that to be? You see? The bank robber wants to walk in the bank and have him just hand him the money before he even asks for it. You know, the pedophile wants the little kids laying around, letting him do whatever he wants. The spiritualist wants to find God. And you can call it anything you want. But the spiritualist, the theurgist, is looking for wholeness, is looking for that abstract concept where somehow we can be each other. See, that's basically what he's talking about. If we try to do this from the point of dealing with, you know, hardcore Masoretic or Aramaic or astrologically or any of the other ways, I mean, we could spend 5 years on each topic. The concept in the book, the concept of the Tarot, is knowledge. It's the whole. The whole. The whole of knowledge. Not just this aspect of knowledge or that aspect of knowledge or why this aspect is better than that aspect. The concept of the book is the whole. The active, passive, the whole thing. See, right now we're in a position where there's a major transition taking place on the planet. Depending on how much resistance takes place in this transitory aspect, will have a lot to do with how much turmoil accompanies. Like all good metaphysicians, you should be thinking that, wow, this is an opportunity for awareness. Not for self, but for a large segment of the whole. This is what he's dealing with. The removal of judgment from space. And the next card, we're going to try and deal with a time concept. Right now we're still spatial. Still spatial. Time is just beginning, from a conceptual point of view in the Tarot, Rota. Time is just beginning to come into play. See, all of a sudden, instead of giving hardcore specifics, so it would seem to me that an individual's responsibility would be motivating their concept. That's real hard to do. That's really, really, really hard to do. Aggie and I sit here and we're planning on being here for another 4 or 5 days so I can make all this jewelry. And suddenly we get a phone call. And, we're leaving in the morning. All the jewelry still gets made, but it gets made in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I mail it to him. I was going to mail it to him anyway, even from here. But, you see what I mean? I mean, there's something that I can do for someone but it's just to ask me to do something about it. See, so I'm going to go out there and help my friend. Motion. See, that the entire concept we're dealing with here, Rota, the wheel of fortune, the beginning of motion. And as a hermetic, you have the ability to move it clockwise or counterclockwise, as long as you maintain a two-dimensional mentality. Imagine what it's like if you allow yourself a four-dimensional reality, even a three-dimensional. It doesn't go like this or like this, it goes like that, sort of like a gyroscope. That's the objective. That's the objective that we try to achieve. That's the objective of the book. To be able to see it, look at it, ascertain your, not responsibility, but relationship to it, no matter which way or how fast or in which direction it may be turning. See, that's the ticket. That's what it, and in the vulgar decks they call it the Wheel of Fortune. See, so it's not a matter of whether you achieve completion this way or that, whether you achieve wealth, whether you achieve this, whether you achieve that. It's a matter of whether you develop the ability to recognize self. That's the most critical aspect of this card, is developing a recognition of self. Because without the recognition of self, you might as well flush the rest of the book down the toilet. Without the recognition of self, you might as well just throw it away. This is the point where you have to say, okay, this is me. The nice thing about it is you don't even have to be correct. You're allowed to modify your opine, for the next 3 cards. So you have 3 cards after this to modify your opine. On the 13th Arcana, you're allowed mental death and rebirth. On the 13th Arcana, and that's what the entire concept of it is, you will be allowed mental death and rebirth. But you got to understand what the hell is going on before you get there, and this is where it begins. This is where it begins. This is where we start talking about individual consciousness. So we'll do it for 11, 12, and 13. I mean, so we're going to have a lot of fun. But this is where it starts. This is where you go, oh, I'll try it. Or, I don't lose many people here, so I'm not worried. I'm not trying to be polite. It's also where a lot of times somebody goes, yeah, I'm scared shitless. They're the best ones. I always get them, see, because when they're scared shitless, they let you talk to them. See, the problem is when you're just trying to figure it out and don't allow yourself to ask or express on a well enough level to where we can explain it to you. This is the beginning of time. This is where motion starts. You've got 9 concepts and the 10th concept of motion. And then you always got that non-existent concept of the willingness to jump off the cliff. This is where it starts. This is a critical place. A very critical place. All right, questions?
So at this point, it's very important to engage the chakras with this.
It's important to engage self. Okay? See, now self is 7 chakras. But if you listen to Deepak the Chopper a couple of days ago, self is just 2 chakras. What you see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. So keep your focus there. But yes, it's time to engage yourself with your perceptive abilities. Who are you? How am I going to deal with this? Oh, well, we got this little hierophant guy, and I don't really believe I'm the Pope. Then you got this chariot guy that runs around, doing his thing, and I might have done that in a past life, but it's not really all that fun. Then you got these feminine cards like the Empress and the Priestess and stuff, and like, I mean, it's fine for the women behind me, but for you guys, it's like, I think I already did that, or maybe I'll do it next time, but it's really not my movie this time, And then you start running into the more abstract concepts that allow the thing to begin moving. Okay. Now, the 11th is going to be a lot of fun, but I'm not even going to talk about that tonight. But we will talk a little bit about the 12th, that strength, that... concept of self. In motion. You can turn around, and right in the now, you can be Jesus Christ. But the now is already long gone, see? You understand what I'm saying? It requires motion. It's not something you can do once. And yet, in total contradistinction to that, we have a situation where nothing happens except now. See, it can't have already happened or going to happen. If it happens, it's now. So somehow we have to take this concept of now, see, Yadhe, Shin Vadhe, and we have to keep the now moving. You see, it's impossible to be satisfied now, sexually or any other way. Oh, man, I want to smoke a joint. Well, shit, by the time you get the goddamn thing and light it, it's yesterday. You might not even want it then. You might have forgot you wanted it. Satisfaction has to be now. Which means, if my semantics isn't too fucked up, it has to be constant. Because now it's constant. It's the only movable constant in grammar. Now. It never stops. Now is always in motion. Self is always in motion. The biggest problem people have with their spirituality is they're looking for a concept of self from the past. It's not something one researches, it's something one seeks. You can spend all the time in the world you want researching Muhammad, Gautama, Lasso, Confucius, Jesus Christ. You got to look for you. And you are in motion. You are in motion. You are now. That's a different now than it was 10 minutes ago. See, you are now. You're still now. You're still now. Now. See, you're still now. See, I got an extra. I had to do that tonight. The National Organization for Women gave me $100 for it. Boy, that went overlooked. Neither one of them even fucking smiled. I mean, Jesus Christ. Maybe
it's a woman.
You are now. But this is the conflict of spirituality. See? You don't want somebody telling you what now is because it isn't here anymore. It's now. You see? Boy, I know this is a bastard. I know semantics sucks. But see, now, you see, you got to do it now. Hey. It's tricky. It's tricky. But that's where the whole occult thing is. Being able to be now. That's what Rota. That's what they're talking about. Now. See, it's a fucked up concept because it's all gone. But it still is. Hoopy-doopy-doo. That's where the difficulty is. The difficulty is being able to achieve that understanding of self. Self. In the now. In the now. And self is, we call that aging. People spend 6-7 decades trying to figure out what the fuck they were when they were 3 years old. What a waste of fucking time. The objective is to figure out where the fuck you are now and keep up with it. Okay, questions?
Somebody has a question.
What's your question?
I was going to ask, you're going to live in the now, and you're going to be yourself in the now. Isn't that the same thing as not having any desire? Because if you're not...
Now how the fuck could you do anything without desire, David? Come on now. I know you're a child. But how could you do any of that without wanting it? You're right. That's the thing. That's what it is. That's what it is. But the goddamn logic of it and the semantics of it is ridiculous. It's like, you can't do it without wanting it, but if you want it, you can't have it.
It's like a paradox. But that's what I mean. Like, you have to have, no selfish desire, but then you have to have selfish desire. It's just different self.
But no, you got it. But I would like you to verbalize an answer. You see, it's...
Nancy's got an answer. I got the answer.
It's oxymoronical. All right, watch out. We got a stripper behind us. What's an answer, Nancy? Come on up here.
You can never have anything you want, because as you want it, you're telling the universe, I want that. And the universe says, yes, you do. But you can have anything you desire.
You almost had it, Nancy. Nancy came close. A lot of times she's right.
Well, what was the complete answer?
You can't have anything you want, because if you want it, it ain't there. And we live in the now. If you want it, you're saying you don't have it.
Is that what it means?
You're in the now. You have to have it. Otherwise, it's tomorrow. And you know, let's face it, tomorrow don't work. Tomorrow don't work. You see what I'm saying? I mean, tomorrow is always... You see? Satisfaction and desire happens in the now. That's the oxymoronical part of the whole thing. That's what, and Nancy was real close. Actually, she had the concept in her head, just because she's never really played with hardcore hermetics before, she just couldn't quite say it. But it's like, desire cannot be satisfied. And now, you might be satisfied tomorrow, but if you're willing to wait for tomorrow, I guess that's where the H comes in Homo sapiens. The hay, yad hay, vad hay. I guess that's where the fucking hay come from. Yad hay, vad hay, yad hay, shin vad hay. I guess that's where the breath of life comes. Oh, fuck, I'll be alive tomorrow. I mean, you want to fuck around with this shit, I can get good. I mean, I can pound it up your head. But, you know, tomorrow never comes. It's now. Right now. Every second, every time, non-stop. Now. Say, I just made a commitment for the day after tomorrow in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, how now is that? But right now, I'm getting energy from that son of a bitch. But it's still not now. Right now, I'm sitting here talking to you. You know, so it's like, you have to, in order to survive properly, you have to be in both places at once. You have to have your spiritual side. That's not. And if you're going to achieve any type of cognizance or reality whatsoever, you have to have this side too. Otherwise, you're an angel. You know, you don't even have a body. You got a body, you got motion. You want to recognize self, you want to recognize soul, you got not. So it gets a little conflicting every now and then, but that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We're here to try and talk you through it. That's what we're here for. It's rough. It's rough. We've already spent, this is like the third class on this card. I mean, it's rough. You have to be both at once. If you allow some commercial theosophies to accept responsibility, if you allow them responsibility for your soul, just leave the now alone. That's their job. Your physical vehicle is the time spatial machine. You can't stop that. You were born, you're going to die. You know, that's part of the movie. What we're interested in is the now. See, that's the non-time spatial aspect, the soul. Your relationship to God. It's not spatial. It's got nothing to do with how fucking big the universe is or how fast it's moving apart. It's basically irrelevant to time and space. It's got to do with you. All right, once more questions. Now. Okay, Doma, come on. Come on, spit it out.
No, that's that's opening comments.
It's straight Barden, man.
I understand.
It's straight Barden. I mean, it's like you got the now, which is self, and then you got the little I self that's constantly running around chasing his tail. We like to try and achieve recognition of the big stuff. The physical vehicle is subject to the constraints of the time spatial aspect. Your spiritual vehicle is not. It's a constant. Your spiritual vehicle is not subject to the time spatial aspect. That's what we deal with when we deal with this time. Okay, I'm going to let Aggie answer the rest of the questions while I have a cigarette because I still have to, I'm working for another hour or two. And love you all. See you next Monday.